So I'm going to tell you a wee Donegal story from a long time ago. Now up north, Donegal, Derry and Antrim, we do use nouns, and we use nouns in the proper way, but sometimes we just don't like to. So for example, the name of this wee story is The Looking Glass, because we do have mirrors on the north coast of Ireland. You know, a mirror that you get dressed in front of in the morning. But we don't like to call it mirrors, we call them the looking glass, because you look at them and they're made of glass. Why not? So, here's a wee one from Donegal. So a long time ago, when times were bad for the tenant farmers all over Ireland, they didn't have too much money, but they definitely worked hard all day and all night. And certainly none of them had ever seen a mirror or a looking glass. Sure, why would they? Sure, look at us, we're all gorgeous anyway. So on the far side of Derry, there was a wee farm. Dinny and Bridget owned it, and they'd been married for a good 50 years, and they'd had it. The highlight of the year for both of them was the farmers' market and the fair down in Derry. So Dinny didn't just go to sell the donkey, which, let's be honest, was as lazy as sin. He also went for a bit of crack. A wee catch up with the farmers, a wee ween of pints with the lads, and sure, the fair only happened once every 6 months, so why not? Bridget, on the other hand, she didn't go, but she was all for Dinny going. She'd even press his clothes right the night before, knowing she'd get the farm all to herself the next day. After all, it took Dinny most of the day to walk the far side of Derry, have a crack of pints and come back again anyway. Actually, Bridget had a wee secret of her own, you know. She wasn't great for the old reading, but she did have one book her sister sent her from New York a wee years ago. One of those, kissing books. And she only got to read bits of it once every 6 months or so, every time Dinny was away. Sure, he wasn't one for romance anyway. He never bought her flowers. He'd always say, sure, look at ye. What good are flowers? You can't eat them and you can't make them work on the farm. So anyway, Dinny headed off down the wee lane. Bridget made herself a comfortable cup of tea, put her feet up, and she read until the sun went down. Dinny headed on down the road a wee bit. He ran into Paddy McLaughlin. Ah, 'tis good to see you, Dinny. Are you having a few jars a day? Oh, I am so about. If I sell on wee donkey. Oh, sure, I've a wee mind to buy it. You can have it for 6 bob. 5. All right, you are. So they traded coin and donkey, and they headed on down the pub. So, now didn't Dinny spend most of it in the old drink? He decided he'd had enough and the sun went down, headed for home. On the way, he met a peddler, and he thought, sure, I'll get something for Bridget on the way back, why not? So, he had a couple of coppers in his pocket still, but he found something instead. He had a look at what the peddler had, and he found himself a wee looking glass. Here, where'd you get that? Why, do you want it? Says the peddler. Course I do. Sure, look at that one. That's got a picture of my dad in it. How much? I've only got a few coppers, mind you. Well, the peddler knew this time of day any sale was better than none, so he let Dinny have a looking glass for the remaining pennies he had. As he headed home, he kept lifting out the looking glass from his pocket and eyeing it and going, Jesus, sure wasn't my dad a fine looking one back in the day. When he got home, he headed off to bed. Sure, Bridget was out cold already. But over the next few days, Bridget was watching him in the field, and she could see that he kept lifting this thing out of his pocket, looking at it and smiling to himself. She was beginning to wonder what it was. One night, he was fast asleep. Bridget got out of bed, walked down into the kitchen, stuck her hand in the jacket to lift out this thing. She had a look. She let out a horrible shriek. Oh, Holy Mary, Mother of God, Dinny's carrying a picture of a woman around with him. It'd be grand, like. But sure, she's the dirtiest, nastiest looking woman I ever did see. The next day over breakfast, she questioned him on it. What are you doing with a picture of a woman in your pocket? Sure, woman, that's a picture of me dad in a wee glass. Don't be daft, Dinny. I knew what I saw. They argued for a bit, and of course they didn't come to any conclusion. So, after a while, Dinny went out in the field. Bridget stormed down the local priest. Oh, father, me heart's breaking. That blackguard of a man back home, he's going round with a picture of another woman in his pocket. And she's the worst woman I ever did see. The priest says, sure, I'll call over the house tonight. I'll have a wee word, don't you worry. So that night, the priest calls over. They have a cup of tea and a bit of a chat. Then he brings up in conversation a picture that Denny has, that he keeps looking at. Denny goes, sure, what are you talking about, father? That's a picture of me dad. Bridget shouts over at him, sure, lift that out. That's a picture of some hag you haven't, it's not me. The priest tries to calm them down. Howl on here, howl on. Denny, would you go and get me the picture? I want to see it myself. Denny takes a looking glass out of his pocket, hands it to the priest. Priest looks at it. What on earth are you arguing about? This is what you've been arguing about. Are you mad? He cries with laughter, bawling his eyes out. It's the funniest thing you ever seen. Oh, Jesus, lads, aren't you a pair of idiots? Are yous not wise? Have a look at this thing and see. Can you not see? That's the parish priest that was here before me.